Hi, this is Lou from YA Strength, and I'm sure you've heard about HIIT, otherwise known as High Intensity Interval Training. It's a very popular exercise that people do nowadays, and people rave about the benefits they've had from doing HIIT relative to the small amount of time that it requires with regard to workout sessions to do an actual HIIT workout. And because of its popularity, many people view steady state training as less effective or inferior to HIIT. But that simply isn't the case, especially when it comes to HIIT, steady state fasting, and your cardiovascular health. When it comes to that, neither of them are technically better than the other. Let me explain. In this video, I'm going to tell you about the impact of HIIT versus steady state training on your cardiovascular health. To help with that discussion, I'm going to tell you about a research study that was published in the Journal of Sports and Medicine a few years ago. And you can find a reference to that study in the description below for reference. This study focused on the effects of HIIT versus steady state training and its impacts on aerobic and anaerobic capacity over the course of about 8 weeks. This study consisted of 55 untrained college-aged adults. So when I think of untrained college-aged adults, I'm thinking about kids who are between the age of, 18 to 24. And when I think of untrained, I'm thinking about people who have either never trained before or haven't trained enough to the point where they're considered people who train on the regular. Those college-age untrained men and women were split into three random groups that worked out 3 times per week. Also, the study consisted of both men and women. The 3 groups were broken down as follows. Group 1 was pretty much the steady state group. So they did standard steady state exercising, which consisted of pretty much exercising on the bicycle at 90% of their ventilatory threshold. So they exercise on bicycles for 20 minutes 3 times per week at 90% of their ventilatory threshold. The other 2 groups were the HIIT groups, and they were pretty much broken into 2. So their exercise consisted of 8 intervals of their Tabata training, and it was essentially like this. They had 20 seconds of high activity, had 170% of their VO2 max with a 10-second rest, and they kept doing that for 8 rounds. The third group did a similar type of HIIT training, and their exercise consisted of 13 sets, but they had 30 seconds of activity and 60 seconds of rest. In total, across all 3 groups, they each worked out 24 sessions across the 8 weeks. So every single one of them worked out 24 sessions in 8 weeks based on those specific group breakdowns. Now, what they found from these research studies were very interesting. So they found that across all 3 groups, they all had significant increases in their VO2 maxes, as well as significant increase in their peak power when they did wind gate testing. By the way, wind gate testing is a special test that tests the peak power of someone's anaerobic activity. So they want to find out what the peak power of someone's anaerobic activity is. They do something called wind gate testing. So back to the study. So again, they all had increases right across those different points. But when looking deeper at the study, the question is, was there any differences between the 3 groups themselves? And the answer to that question is no. There was no such significant difference between the 3 groups themselves and the results that they found. So the VO2 maxes across all 3 groups increased by 19, 18, and 18% respectively. So the steady state group and both the HIIT groups had pretty much the same average amount of increases in their VO2 maxes. And the percentage increases in peak power were very similar in ranges as well. So there was no significant differences. But here's what's also interesting. So the study also measured the enjoyment of the 3 different workouts. So they measured how much the subjects enjoyed the workouts across the 8 weeks. This is very important for some people because you want to know, hey, can I stick to my workout for a long period of time, or at least minimum 8 weeks? So what they found was that the peak enjoyment decreased across all 3 workouts. So of course, as you exercise, you got to have the willpower within to continue to get those results. But all of the 3 groups saw a decrease in enjoyment. However, the Tabata group, so there were 3 groups. The second group was the one that did HIIT training specifically with Tabata. They had a significantly higher amount of enjoyment decreases over the 8 weeks. So that's pretty much telling you that that was the most difficult workout. It's very intense. It's not as easy to do. Therefore, they began to not enjoy it as much across those 24 different sessions. So what can we take from this study? Essentially, it's safe to say that there's no difference in results between HIIT and steady state training when it comes to anaerobic or aerobic capacity or your cardiovascular health. So although HIIT can be more time efficient, you definitely know that you don't have to do it as the more optimal approach to achieving your cardiovascular goals or your anaerobic or aerobic capacity strength overall. So keep in mind that this research study consisted of untrained young adults, college days. So the results may be different depending on your level of training, how long you've been working out, your age, your current health conditions, with regard to which one might be more effective for you. But at least you have a general idea with regard to which one is more effective when it comes to your cardiovascular health. Do what you personally would enjoy most. I recommend that you try out both. Try HIIT, right? And also try out steady state training. And depending on which one you enjoy most or which one you consider yourself doing for the longer period, that's the one that you should stick to. Because when it comes down to it, you want to find something that you can stick to so you can accomplish whatever your fitness goals may be. And of course, your cardiovascular health is very important when it comes to your overall health and fitness level. I hope you found this video helpful and informative. Again, this is Lou from YA Strength. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I hope to see you in the next video.